get your blankets, get your hot cocos, get your marshmallows. We are transitioning out of the DoPL arcade. We are coming over to the campfire as Dave tells us some of his favorite gaming stories. All right, everybody, welcome to the DoPL podcast, Die or Pass level. Once again, Bran, how are you? What's new? Talk to me.
I'm feeling organized and prepared like Isabelle from Animal Crossing. Real prepped for this one.
That's number 3 of Brandon's newly patented intros. It's ranking high on the top 3. So, Brandon, actually, I want to talk to you about a game that I'm about to download. Hopefully today. I think it just came out today. Have you heard of 2AT? This is a Brandon game.
Dude, I have not heard of this. I'm out of the loop.
That's why I'm here, baby. I got you. Okay. You're going to lose it. Grab onto your chair.
Okay.
It is from the creator of Katamari Damacy.
Oh, okay.
You know what a T-pose is?
I know. I only know from like animation, right?
Yeah, so I guess from what I understand, and I could be wrong, but I think it's like almost like the pose that glitched out video game characters take on. Like when your game kind of glitches out, it's very common for your character to go into this T-pose. Well, the video game is about a character who is constantly in a T-pose. And that's about all I know about it. It looks very quirky. It's from the creator of Katamari Damacy. I can't imagine it wouldn't be like just a quirky, good old-fashioned, funny time.
I think this is going to be his second game since Katamari. I think he did one other one afterward. I don't remember it hitting. Our guest is actually the one who introduced me to Katamari.
Whoa, that's huge.
Which is one of my all-time faves. Yeah.
All right, well, I don't know if I want to thank our guest quite, because Brandon, he's made me download Katamari Damacy on like 7 separate occasions. I'm kidding, but I downloaded it once. I think I would love it, but it was running on my Switch at 30 frames per second. I think I want like the optimized version.
I will say that I don't think all Katamari games are equal, which is a weird thing. If you do know Katamari, they do a lot of repeats. Like they'll take levels from like previous games and dump them in other games, I think. But I think the first one, that's the one I had you download because that was the first one they ported to Switch. I don't think that's the strongest game. So I would say that maybe I steered you wrong at first. There are some really fun levels that are more intro friendly, I would say, to the new Katamari people. If I could take that back, I would actually probably take that back and have waited for We Love Katamari to come out before.
I have heard of We Love Katamari. I think I'll definitely give it a try. I am also playing Blueprints. Very confused. There are days in the game, and I'm on day 7, and I've encountered like my first puzzle, which I think I'm supposed to solve, but I'm not smart enough to. I'm struggling between, is this a here and now puzzle to be solved, or should I leave it and maybe there are more clues somewhere else in the game? And the nature of this game is it's kind of random, so I don't know when I'll get to return to this room again. So I'm like, do I leave it to get more clues and come back, or do I stay here and just grind it out and figure out this puzzle? That's where I'm at with Blueprints. I'll probably jump back in tonight. Game Pass, baby. It's hooking me up right now. Super excited about that. Unless you want to add any other games you're playing.
I'm not playing any right now. I got a big, long weekend coming up where I will be getting a good fill of new games, some old ones. I did just finally download this title called The Crimson Diamond. It's a Steam game. It's like a hark back to the old like Sierra style. Shocker. I love the point-and-click adventure games, detective adventure stuff. It's been on my radar for a while. I finally got it. There's so many good indie games out there that are just itching to be played.
Yeah, there's another one I want to play called like Pipistrello and the Yo-Yo of Destiny. I'm saying that I'm totally wrong about the name. Please don't come at me. Chat and comment section. But it's indie-inspired Zelda-like. It looks super awesome with like a little mouse character. It looks like Itchy from Itchy and Scratchy with a yo-yo. Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you hearing that? What's that noise? Oh my... Whoa, not again. How'd you get here?
Hey, guys.
All right, so from what I understand, this gentleman has introduced Brandon to the wonderful world of Katamari Damacy, changed the trajectory of Brandon's life with one title alone. Let's say hello to our friend Dave. Dave, how you doing?
Hey, I'm awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Ray and Brandon. It's good to be here.
Dave was actually the first person I knew that had a PlayStation. It was like the first time dual sticks. And I was like, this is stupid. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. There's no way I'm not playing with 2 sticks. One's enough. I get all my joy and fulfillment off of one controller stick. Why would I need 2? Dave's like, Brandon, stop being so stubborn in your youth. Let me open your mind to the possibilities. I remember the exact setup, Dave. I was like, this is so weird. The camera angles and things like that. Yeah, that was Dave Craig. That was you, man.
I went to a new high school. I kind of left my middle school crew, went to this new high school. Brandon was one of the first people I met, and I was like always kind of sheepish and a little bit embarrassed about video games. And Brandon was this kid in my classes who was smart and charismatic, and we found we had this kind of shared interest in video games. And so it was always so fun to come to school and compare notes on what we're playing and what we were up to. Brandon had a big exposure to me with games like Half-Life and things like this that were just like mind blowing to me. And so we've always had this shared camaraderie for 30 years now, Brandon, or 20 some odd years now at least.
I would think that actually my biggest regret is that we didn't play enough video games together during those days, those formative years. We should have done more.
Yeah. Charismatic gamers. There are dozens of us.
Dozens.
So what was the first game you guys experienced on the DualShock? Was it Ape Escape? I'm curious, what game were you playing?
I could be way off. I think the game that you were showing me had the word red in the title. I could be completely wrong.
I'm trying to remember what this game would have been. I remember the moment, Brandon. I think we were in our basement at the house. I think we were working on a video production project, and I remember firing up the PlayStation and showing you around, but I can't remember for the life of me what game we would have been playing. I know when we got that PlayStation, my brother and I were so freaking excited about it. And, we had Ridge Racer, and we were always racing around, and Tomb Raider and Metal Gear Solid, like all these games were just mind-blowing. But yeah, Ray, you're right. Ape Escape seemed like the first game on PlayStation to really utilize the DualShock and sort of that twin stick setup. Yeah, a lot of good memories with that PlayStation setup.
It took me a minute too, Brandon. What could this other stick even be used for? But
I want to say that, Dave, it was a first-person shooter game, and I remember I was like,
oh,
do you remember it now, Dave?
It was Red Faction. So Red Faction, yeah, first-person shooter, and it was sweet because all the environments were destructible, which was kind of a mind blower. So if you had a cave wall between you and an enemy, you could line up your guns and start blasting through the wall and get to the enemy on the other side.
Yes, I do remember hearing about Red Faction. I never played it, but yeah, I am also aware of the destructible environments. That's pretty rad, especially back for its time. I feel like destructible environments, even in this day and age, is a big ask for games. It starts making the game chug. It takes a lot of processing power, or it seems anyways. I'm no expert. I think the thumbstick ended up kind of just being the camera stick in the modern gaming era. But back then, yeah, they're doing some cool stuff with it, especially like Ape Escape controlled the net, right? You basically caught the monkeys with that right thumbstick, which is cool.
Now I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to be better about this, guys. I really am. But I'm just a hater in my bones, and I'm just like so reluctant to try new stuff. But Dave is the friend. I think everyone has a friend like this. They're constantly on the cutting edge. They're always downloading, always renting the good stuff. You've like introduced me and you had to convince me to try new stuff. I talked about Katamari. You introduced me to Katamari, and I thought that was the stupidest game pitch ever. If you try to pitch that game to anyone now, it sounds like the worst game ever. I remember you were like, Brando, this game's right up your alley. You'd love it. You love the art. It's so funny. And I was like, what is this? And you're like, it's called Katamari Damacy. I was like, that means nothing to me. Well, you're a little guy and you roll around a ball and you collect things and your ball gets bigger and you just keep rolling that ball until it gets bigger and bigger. I go, this is the worst game I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. Dave is like my front line. He will try anything. He's always down for it. Always keeps an open mind. So thanks, Dave.
That open-mindedness, new things and new games is, I think, a good thing, but also can be kind of challenging too. Like I know we have other friends who tend to like stick to one game and they go so far down the ladder and they get so good at that singular game and they're always dedicated to finishing the game. Brandon, I think you're really like this too. I'm always more of a grazer. I like to experience new things. I'm not as committed to like finishing the game. And so these guys tease me a lot, right? It's like, Dave, like you got like an unending backlog of things that you've not finished. I can jump into a lot of games, get 10 to 20 hours into it. And if I'm satisfied, I can also be pretty comfortable saying, okay, I've gotten what I wanted out of this and I can move on to the next thing. But haven't seen credits to many things, unfortunately.
You seem like you have a very healthy relationship with video games for sure. I've definitely not finished a handful of games either, and I think at a couple of points in time Brandon has mentioned your name when I like suggest some off-ball game to Brandon, like Baba Is You, and he's like, dude, who are you, Dave?
I guarantee you that's again anything that's weird, like you're like, there's no way anyone knows about this game. Dave will know it. Dave will not only know it, he's downloaded it. It's in his library. When I log on to any system, Switch, PlayStation, and I see Dave's like what Dave's played, it's always something new. I'm like, what game? What is he doing? When is he logging on and doing this stuff?
I think I'm a little of two extremes. I definitely graze a lot of indie games, And also Nintendo games. I'm getting all 120 stars. I'm getting through all the shrines in Zelda, turning every stone for those kinds of games. I don't know, like I fall victim to like the zeitgeist of like what's hot. I hear about blueprints, and chances are I'll give up after this one puzzle that I was talking to you guys about. There's also Expedition 33, which I need to play. I'm not gonna not play it, but will I finish it? I don't know, man.
I mean, speaking about this upcoming weekend, Dave, I think Expedition 33 has got to be, we got to dabble in that one.
Can you talk to me a little bit about this coming weekend?
So basically what happened was it started off as a joke. This will be the 11th year of doing this, but we call it Dork Souls Weekend. Dave and I, we were high school buddies. During colleges, we'd come back, and you always come back just for the weekend breaks, right? Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you have only limited amount of time to see your friends. So you're always going out to bars, and we have this small group of us that were like, just wanted to play video games together, but there's no time. The weekend runs out. You got to spend time with family, spend time with other friends. So I made a joke saying, what if I just came back, we did a weekend where I didn't tell anybody else, and we just, the four of us, just played video games all weekend long. And it started as a joke, and then we're like, but what if? And that joke's been going on for 11 years. This will be the 11th year of doing it. We all loved the game Dark Souls. This started when Dark Souls 2 came out, so it was a perfect weekend to do it. It's taken us to Portland, to Seattle, to Los Angeles, to Denver. It's the same four guys. Dave's one of them.
That's awesome. And I got my bags packed, guys. I'm super pumped. I can't wait to see you all there, right?
We'll do another episode with the other two members, the infamous Frank Bros. They're the sticklers on the rule. They are real strict about stuff, so you have to plead your case to them. They won't budge for anyone. They won't even budge for my little brother. So
yeah. Well, this episode is my informal application, and I'll finish it off with them and see how it goes. But it's not sounding like it'll go too well for me.
I will say, Ray, you got a big advocate for Brandon. Every year he's like, we got to get Ray in on this. And
okay, thank you, Dave.
So, yeah.
Everyone comes to me and like gives me a hard time. I'm like, I'm trying. I really am trying.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Brandon. I hope to one day join your graces.
And Dave, you've introduced like a bunch of indie multiplayer games. Nidhogg was like yours, right?
Yeah, Nidhogg. Towerfall was like a staple there for a couple years. So usually we'll have sort of like a headlining game, like sort of a big, meaty, challenging game, and then sort of we'll fill in sort of around the borders with little quick hits. A big part of the thing that the Frank brothers really line up around is we call them punishments. So it's really about getting your gaming skills in, proving you can beat a level or get something knocked out, and if you fail, there's usually sort of a punishment attached to it too, which could be like playing a bad game or drinking a beer real fast, or we have different rules.
That sounds really fun. I would like to say, Dave, I hope you know this, and if you don't, I'm telling you now, you are the glue that holds this gaming catalog together. Your experience with all these different kinds of games definitely lends itself to like a really zany weekend, I feel like.
Yeah, I've never thought about it like that, Ray, but you're totally right. Dave is like the hero when it comes to that stuff. I'm not on the pulse as much with this stuff, so I'm always like kind of defaulting to them. I might chime in on like a AAA game. There's usually like a Sekiro, Bloodborne. We did Resident Evil 2, the remake. We did that one year. But Dave will come in with like the quick indie multiplayer little breaks that we do. We actually try to beat a game. We'll do like A Boy and His Blob, right? We'll try to quick like speed run through a game. Yeah, Dave, you're right. Without your expertise and like your like finger on the pulse, you always come in with the good stuff.
Dark Souls, the weekend itself is really fun, but one of the funnest parts is like the anticipation leading up to it. So Brandon will usually like pull together a bit of a Google Doc, and we'll put our ideas in for the different games, and we'll vote them up. And like Brandon, right now I think we have a list of like 30 games or something like that. We're not gonna be able to tackle all of them, but it's fun picturing the sort of the possibilities, and it's just a super fun process.
I don't need all 30 guys, but go ahead, get your phones out, do what you need to do. I want to see some bangers.
I actually keep a journal. I've been keeping one since the very first Dark Souls weekend. So I have a journal of like funny quotes that we have, lists of all the games we played, things that just like funny moments. So yeah, I have 11 years worth of a real archive of everything we've done for
that's got to get published. That's a book one day. I will buy that.
It's literally like lists of games that we played.
Yeah.
Funny quotes that we can recall, things that we did. We did Monster Hunter one year. That was a good one, Dave. It was 4 monitors going out at once. We were all playing Monster Hunter together.
Different screens, different PlayStations, and just mobbing up and tackling monsters together. That was so fun.
Give me like 10.
Yeah.
10 from the list.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Have you guys played Samurai Gun? While you guys look for it, Samurai Gun, I think, is a fun one for a kind of weekend like that.
That's such a good recommendation. We've never pulled the trigger on Samurai Gun, but Brandon, we should totally dump that into the mix.
I had a friend who had it, and I went over his place, and it was like 4-player like party action. It was just like a super fun. Gives me Towerfall vibes. Same kind of, arena, one-hit kill. I really like that one.
I'll list a couple of these on here. Man, some of them are Steam games, so I don't think it's gonna happen. But Look Outside, Fear and Hunger. We do like throwing some horror games in there because it's really funny. Split Fiction, that was one that you recommended, right, Ray?
I think you have fun doing that one for sure.
Helldivers 2, Mortuary Assistant was recommended as a fun, like, scary game. Blueprints is on here, even though, I don't know if we're gonna do that with 4 players. 1000 Times Resist.
Oh, I never heard of that one. Dave's ready for that one. Talk to us about 1000 Times Resist, Dave.
Yeah, so 1000 Times Resist, Steam only, or it's sort of an indie game, but this came out last year, and it's an RPG, but it's supposed to be made by a really small team, and I guess it's supposed to tackle some like really complex issues like around family and relationships and war. And I haven't touched it. I don't know if it's going to be a perfect fit for Dork Souls, but it's supposed to be really incredible.
Split Fiction might have to be one that I feel like might have to be on top of our list.
Just to speak on Blueprints quickly, I think you'll have a good time with it in a group setting because you can treat it like an escape room, kind of like this puzzle that you can tackle amongst each other. Someone might have an idea that someone else doesn't. I think the more people playing that game, the better. I wish I could get someone on board with playing that game with me, but it's just little old me at home. I actually tried asking Kim. She was just like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think actually Beth would be into it. I got to get her in the right mood, but I think that's something that she would want to play. So anyway, yeah, Dork Souls is next weekend, so we're all pumped for it.
I'm pumped to hear all about it when you guys get back. I'm really curious to know what game ends up being the game that kind of takes over the weekend. What sleeper kind of comes around and takes the throne.
Hey, Brandon won the sleeper role last year when he brought Balatro to the weekend. Like, we had a whole list of games. Brandon, I'm pretty sure Balatro is like the only thing we played. Maybe there might have been a little Contra in there, but that completely consumed the entire group and people passing the controller back and forth. And that was just one that sort of came out of nowhere. And Brandon pitched it, but it didn't really take hold until Brandon like showed it off, and we're like, okay, let's go.
I can't even remember other games that were played. Dork Souls starts on Thursday morning and goes to Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, we did some Contra, but I don't remember playing anything else. Balatron and Contra.
You were definitely on fire about that game. I mean, everyone was. So it makes sense that you guys would just kind of get addicted and pulled into that. All right, just to preface a little for our listeners, Dave sent us a list of these awesome video game memories that he holds fond and dear to his heart. And so, if you will, get your blankets, get your hot cocos, get your marshmallows. We are transitioning out of the DoPL arcade. We are coming over to the campfire as Dave tells us some of his favorite gaming stories of the past. And I think to start, just at the very top of the list, one of the places I hold near and dear, I think I have a picture actually that I can post of myself with their mascot, Mr. Chuck Edward Cheese. I don't know if that's his actual name. Dave holds a fondness for Chuck E. Cheese, and I was wondering if maybe you would like to talk a little bit about that as we chime in.
Yeah, so Chuck E. Cheese was like a formative place for me as a kid, like back in the 80s. So I'm 42. I was born in 1982. And we would have birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese, and they were always just like so many memories of the giant animatronic mice and like we had a big like Elvis kind of lion in the lobby that would play his guitar. And I always remember being like a little intimidated by all the animatronic animals, but just the magic of this place, sort of dark and a little bit dingy. I remember the massive room with all the characters sort of propped up, singing and dancing and doing all the song work. I was just blown away by like eating pizza, running out to the ball pits to go jump around, playing video games, and it was just like a total playland for me. So this was, I think, my 6th birthday, which is also ties into like one of my first like big video game memories. I'd seen the Nintendo before, the Nintendo Entertainment System, like at friends and family. I had kind of been exposed to it a little bit, but my parents never like really let me get my hands on it. But I remember sitting at this big table with presents and opening this gift, this big box. I had no clue what it was, and I remember unwrapping this thing to see a Nintendo with the light gun zapper, and it was the dual pack with Mario and Duck Hunt built into it. And I didn't actually ask for this gift. Like, I think this is probably my dad or something. He's like, I kind of want this thing, but I'm going to get it for my kid. And that was the moment that sort of kicked this whole thing off. We have a picture somewhere of like me sitting at Chuck E. Cheese with a birthday cake and like just beaming with this like new Nintendo system. How about you guys?
So Dave and I grew up in the same town. I also may have talked about this on a previous episode too, but Round Table Pizza is such a treat. treat to go to Round Table Pizza on a Friday night. And I remember there was an arcade room, and it was literally just 2 cabinets. The idea of Friday night, going out with your family, you squeeze into those vinyl seats in that booth, and while you wait for pizza, your parents giving you $1, and you're being like, yes, I'm gonna make this
Best.
4 quarters ride, baby, until the pizza gets here. You just crammed into that tiny arcade room at the Salmon Creek Round Table Pizza.
My
and
God.
played,
My God.
it was so fun, dude. It was the best.
I know that
Yeah.
exact round table, Brandon. I think I'm pretty sure they had like a 1943, that top down airplane shooter, and they probably had like that car racing game, that pole position. I think the game was a lot of nostalgia for pizza and video games back in the day.
Such a one of a kind of experience and feeling. Close your eyes for a second. Pretend you're playing Mortal Kombat or Simpsons Arcade, and your brother or your cousin or like your dad taps your shoulder and tells you the pizza's ready. Like,
pizza's ready.
You're just like, okay, got it. But you're still like playing your game, and you know that once that game's over, you're gonna have some of the best pizza. By the way, Round Table Pizza is top tier when it comes to chain pizza.
It's still good.
Wait, you guys still have your Round Table?
Not that one. That location is shut down. But driving around, we actually found a Round Table Pizza. The sign out front, it says Game Cave. And I was like, we are going there. We're going.
You need to, man. That pizza
So the pizza still hits. The game room, though, it's my complaint that I have to this day is all the game stuff is tickets to get the crappy prizes. And I'm like, where's the games? Just the regular games, man. I'm going to blame capitalism.
Let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, put it in late stage capitalism. That'll get us there.
There's no like pinball machines. There's no like just games for game's sake. It's all ticketed stuff, which I just hate. I just hate that so much. I'm like, nah, man, I'll get back to the regular games. So that's my only complaint.
One of my Round Table memories actually is that there was a Toys R Us in the same shopping center as the Round Table. Talk about a paradise. So
that is a paradise. That's a combo.
So my parents probably had mapped it all out. They're like, okay, the kids said they want this video game. They've been saving up for it. Gonna hit the Toys R Us. Then we're hungry. And we're gonna go eat the best damn pizza in town. We're gonna go to Round Table. And so I remember we got Mortal Kombat 3 for Super Nintendo. And then we went to Round Table to get our pizza. And sitting there was the arcade cabinet for Mortal Kombat 3. And just thinking to myself, oh my God, I can't believe that I have that game.
Speaking of Toys R Us, that's a great transition for another Dave Craig classic. Go ahead, Dave.
So I think my brother and I were about 12 and 11. My brother Jimmy's a little younger than me. So we grew up in Vancouver, Washington, which is sort of a little suburb of Portland. Across the Columbia River, across like the interstate bridge, there was Ray, our favorite place, Toys R Us. Just our complete mecca. Had everything we wanted for toys and everything. Our parents would usually have to drive us to the Jansen Beach Mall to go to Toys R Us because you had to go across the interstate bridge, across the freeway, across the Columbia River to get to the mall. My brother and I were big bike riders. We had a little bit of allowance money, and our parents were at work still in the days when I think people just like left their kids at home for a couple hours. My brother and I had the bright idea that we wanted to spend some of our allowance money. So we hopped on our bikes, rode through downtown Vancouver, merged onto the little pedestrian walking path on the interstate bridge, rode across the bridge, got off the bridge, off the off-ramp, and then rode our bikes sort of, half a mile back through the mall to Toys R Us to go wander the halls and look at all the toys and look at all the video games. We didn't have enough money to buy video games at that point. We ended up making it all the way there and then made it back home. And we were so sweaty and exhausted from the whole endeavor. My parents were like, where were you guys? And I was like, oh, we went to Toys R Us. How did you get there? We rode our bikes.
You rode into Oregon.
We rode across state lines to the toy store. I got grounded for about a month because I was the older brother that coaxed my little brother to go on an adventure with me. Everyone was safe, but it was quite the epic adventure for sure.
So what was that trip like? How long, let's say, ballpark to get on your bike?
Probably a 90-minute, 2-hour bike ride. I think that was probably about right. On a map, it'd probably be like 10 or 15 miles each way. And we were just like on these like little crappy, huffy BMX bikes, just dedicated to checking out the toy store without our parents.
It was stuff of legend to this day.
That's an impressive journey. Some wizardry there, some would say. And speaking of wizard, talk to me a little bit about one of your formative cinema experiences.
Yeah, so this was, I think this would have been 1989. My brother and I had been seeing previews for a little special feature starring our boy Fred Savage, 1989's The Wizard. And I didn't know much about the game. All I knew was that some of the trailers had a Nintendo in them, and they had some video games and things like that. There's a movie about video games. It's going to be incredible. So we showed up at the movie theater. At this point, I just had my brand new Nintendo. I probably had this Nintendo for about a year, so I was still kind of feeling it out. But for those who may not know, this story detailed Fred Savage and his siblings' adventures road tripping across the US to get to a video game competition. And The Wizard had some really cool things in it. I think this is where the Power Glove debuted. Do you guys remember the Power Glove for the Nintendo? That it strapped onto your arm. In my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the future, that you can play video games by moving your hands and things like this. So I remember getting exposed to the Power Glove, which was incredible. But the huge moment for those that know about this is that Super Mario 3 was debuted essentially in this movie. Not to spoil it, but the movie ends with the kids playing Super Mario 3 in this competition. I just remember seeing Super Mario 3 blasted up on the massive movie theater screen with all the sound and the lights and the graphics of the game and the animation. Mario gets his Tanuki suit, and you're like, oh my god, Mario can fly now. And I think they showed off the whistle skip. You could kind of skip through the levels. That was my first time, I think, getting a sneak peek of a video game that was going to be coming up. And I remember leaving that movie saying, Mom and Dad, like, I need to have that video game. Like, that is all I want. And we ended up getting that game when it was released later that summer. But The Wizard was just a huge video game moment for me, 100%.
I need to revisit it, but back then that movie was incredible. I fancy myself someone with like pretty good video game logic, but it's still unbelievable to me that on his first go, in the midst of a Mario 3 tournament, Fred Savage knows to crouch down on that white block for 10 seconds and get the flute. Incredible.
Okay, guys. Okay, here's the thing, guys. There's so many wrong things you guys are saying about the Wizard. I know this movie like the back of my hand. One, Fred Savage is not the Wizard. It's his little brother who's like on the spectrum, I think, and like he's the Wizard, right? He's just escorting his brother.
Were they hitchhiking? I don't remember how they were getting across, but it seemed like they were in Reno, and I remember just all over the place, but off to California.
Yeah. I dropped 2 quotes from the movie, and again, you guys just didn't get it. One is the Power Glove. It's so bad. So that's like one line from the movie. There's like the bully that has it, right? And then the kid keeps going, California. He wants to get back to California. There's like a sad component to it. And the other thing is that the kid flies up. He finds the whistle by flying up off the screen and goes over to the right. Remember that part? I'm pretty sure that's how it happens. I could be wrong now. Now you're making me second guess myself.
I think we're conflating memories. I believe Ray is right. I think it was the white box crouch drop, which puts you in the backdrop of the level so you can sprint the whole level.
I don't think so. I think it's he gets the Tanuki feather, runs across, it's in the dungeon level, he flies up and over off screen, drops into the room with the treasure chest. That's how he gets the whistle. I'm calling it.
All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to my local retro video store, Vidiot's, and I'm gonna rent it, and I'm gonna check it out, and I'll let you guys know. Completely not sponsored by Vidiot's, but Vidiot's, your awesome place to get your classic movie rental needs. If you're looking to sponsor us, we love you.
We do love you. I wonder if it still holds up.
I know this is like a little far removed from the Chuck E. Cheese subject, but I do want to know, as someone who has only ever received a console because I was anticipating it, what's it feel like to get a video game console without even knowing or wanting it? Like, what's that? What did you feel? Were you like, what the hell is this? Or what was the feeling?
That was the exact feeling. I remember opening the gift and all my friends who were at the party were like cheering and screaming, but I didn't actually know what I'd received. And I remember my parents explained to me, oh, this is a Nintendo. It's a video game thing. And they explained to me, like, this is what your aunt and uncle have. We did play their Nintendo sometimes, and I really enjoyed those moments. And so I think once it started occurring to me, like, oh, now I have a video game that I can hook up to my TV and I can now play this at home. I think that's when sort of the anticipation and excitement started to swell. But there was a little bit of confusion. Right. What is this new box that I have here?
The adventure began. You never looked back. Dave, you had every console, right? Did you have Sega as well? You were like Sega, Dreamcast, Dreamcast, PlayStation.
I started with Nintendo. My brother and I saved some money up to buy the 16-bit console, and that was the other thing. Like, do we buy Sega or do we buy Super Nintendo? And some of the bad boy Sonic marketing kind of got a hold of me, and I ended up making the switch over to a Genesis, which I loved, but I do have a big gap where I'm missing a lot of Super Nintendo nostalgia. Thank God for like Virtual Console and stuff. The Switch Virtual Console has been amazing. Like access to all these old SNES games and GBA games has been really cool.
I'm actually doing the opposite. As a Super Nintendo kid, I'm going on the Nintendo Switch Virtual Console and experiencing Sega games in that same way that you're doing Super Nintendo.
You guys are both Super Nintendo guys, right? That was your pathway in?
I was always loyal to Nintendo. Speaking of Frank Bros, again, we'll probably talk about this when we have them on as a guest, but I remember I got into a real drunken argument with Steven over PlayStation versus Nintendo once, and he's like, just grow up, man, just grow up. And I was like, no, don't tell me to grow up. I'm playing Nintendo games, man. Wind Waker still is just as good as any of those games on PlayStation. I don't care what you say.
Who is this? What's his name? Give me what's his full name and address.
You're gonna meet him. You're gonna meet him soon.
Yeah, I feel like that argument has existed. Nintendo's for babies. You know what I mean? Like that's just the thing that they want to tell us to bring us down, Brandon, but don't let them.
They're trying to divide us. They're trying to divide us, man.
I love a good video game, guys, is what it comes down to. I do want to jump into punch card action because that story actually sounds like one of the coolest stories on the list. My dad definitely hooked it up here and there, but this punch card sounds next level. I'm curious to hear about this.
Yeah, Dave, you got to tell that one.
I don't know if this is a cop-out for a gift, but it was a gift I absolutely loved, and I think it's one of my favorite gifts of all time. The summer birthday, and so summer birthdays were always surrounded by no school time, and so we had lots of time to play video games and things like that. My parents weren't a big fan of like buying us like brand new video games, but my brother and I absolutely loved renting video games. And so as a gift, a couple years in a row, my dad would get like a white lined note card, and on the card he would draw 10 squares on the card, and each square on the card allowed us to redeem one video game rental. So whenever my brother and I wanted to rent a game, we would pull the card off the fridge, we'd check a box off the card, and then my dad would take us to the video game rental store. We had like a cool little old school video rental shop that had just a massive collection of NES games. And my brother and I would just wander the video game aisle, looking at, just inspecting every single box, looking at all the box art. And we didn't have any clue what any of these games were, but we would make decisions purely based on how cool did the characters look on the front and what were the screenshots on the back. And I just remember those days, you had so much anticipation of like, before you get to the video game store, oh my God, like, what are we going to get? Like, there's a whole weekend of adventures ahead. And then making that decision and then taking the video game home, taking it out of the box, putting it into the Nintendo and firing it up and not knowing what you were going to find. Like, we found some like amazing treasures and we found some amazing duds in the mix. But every single time we would just have the best time. And so that gift of the punch card for video game rentals is something that sticks with me forever.
If you could bottle that feeling, that anticipation, I would be strung out forever, dude. I'm such a fiend for nostalgia. This is one of those ones that's like so good that the kids just are never gonna know.
Breaks my heart that kids don't have something akin to like that feeling of that anticipation. I'd argue that it's almost better than the game itself when you get back home. Browsing the aisles and aisles, especially like, okay, my dad was a member. It was like our local video store and it was super mom and pop, loved it, but we exhausted their limited collection. And so one day my dad was like, we're going to Blockbuster. I'm getting a membership there. Going to Blockbuster, I could not wait to go over there and just look at the mountains of games waiting for me.
I'll tell you a story, a real quick one. Greg Moore had a birthday party. It's like a third grade. And that was his gift. Part of his birthday party was before we went to the house and did cake and things like that. All the boys, we went to the video store and his mom's like, pick out 3 games. And we're like, 3? We can do 3? All the boys are just chattering, pushing each other out of the way. We're all pleading our cases to like which one you should pick. I don't remember the other 2 games, but I do remember he got Mega Man 3. Didn't know Mega Man 3 existed. I was blown away and I was stressed out because Mega Man games, you got to try, right? You got to try which combos, you got to beat the level. And if you beat it, that power doesn't necessarily beat the next boss. You got to play around for a while. And I was like, there's no way we're going to do this.
I think it's Top Man first because, like, why wouldn't it be? That guy, he's the jobber of Mega Man 3. He's the bubble man. You just know he goes down first. I mean, we covered Chuck E. Cheese, the Wizard. We got the punch card in. We got the first console. We rode our bikes. across state lines, I see there is one at the bottom of this list that I do want to touch on. I have RE written on my notes that can only stand for one thing. Talk to us
Yeah,
about
so
Resident Evil.
RE, yeah, Resident Evil. So we talked about this, Brandon. Like that, Jimmy and I saved up and we bought this PlayStation and we're just blown away by this console. We didn't have a memory card with the PlayStation. So we had the PlayStation, we had a couple of games, but we never ponied up the cash to get the memory card. So one weekend we rented Resident Evil. That game can be pretty challenging. You've, one life. Once you're dead, it's game over and you're starting back at the beginning if you don't have any saves or ink ribbons or anything like that. So my brother and I just toiled away at that game. Like I've seen the beginning 40 minutes or an hour of Resident Evil probably 50 times because we would start the game, get as far as we could, we'd get killed by a zombie dog crashing through a window or whatever the thing was, and then back to the beginning. We ended up like one weekend just locking in. We'd sort of perfected the first, 3 hours or so of that game. Ended up getting to one of the final sort of furnace rooms on that sort of one playthrough. We've never completed the game without a memory card. I just remember the tension of that thing, just knowing like at any moment you could die and it's back to the beginning.
Yeah, I can imagine walking into a room and then like the music kind of kicks up, like, oh man, a boss fight. It's all over. I just imagine kind of running around in circles, trying to gather data and hopefully figuring out what the pattern is, but that sounds rough.
Yeah, it was intense. I've never considered myself like a good gamer, but Jimmy and I got very good at Resident Evil because we learned how to play.
Do you remember which doors go to which keys? Can you be like, I know bottom right door is diamond, upper right is the clover, or whatever. Like,
yeah, I'd
don't know.
have to pull it back. Brandon, you played a lot of the Resident Evil remake, right? Didn't they remake it on GameCube or something?
Yeah, I bought the remake on GameCube and I loved it. And that game still holds. I think I've seen people talk about the remake on GameCube and they said it's still damn good.
Dude, my cousin, who will be on the show eventually, the biggest survival horror dude, he just loves all things horror movies and he plays through all of these. I just remember sitting in our room on this little dinky computer rewatching on like QuickTime Player or whatever the Resident Evil 1 remake trailer over and over and just being in awe. Are you kidding me at this graphics? Plus it's pre-rendered background, so they could do some cool stuff.
Bring back pre-rendered background games. Come on, bring it back.
I loved how good that game looked.
We can do a whole different podcast episode just about me ranting about bring back pre-rendered backgrounds. We gotta go back.
Folks, it is that time again. We are about to play Guess That Song. Brandon, do you have one for us?
No, I got one. Let me do it this time. You always do it.
I know. That's why I'm asking. Here's the control, man. Sorry. Sheesh.
This one might be easy, a little easy one. I'm just gonna dip my toes in. It's a song I love. I personally love. Let's see if you guys can get it. It goes.
Easy.
Finish it, Ray. All right, Dave, you got it?
No, I don't have it.
All right.
You gotta bust out your spurs or your carrots.
The year is 1998, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And Ocarina of Time is just released.
Yes.
You have made it past the first 3 dungeons, and you are now adult Link, and you're looking to ride your horse, Epona, but Epona is nowhere to be found, unless, of course, you have your ocarina and you play Epona's, what is it called? Epona's song? Just Epona's song?
I thought it was Lon Lon Ranch.
Lon Lon Ranch is where you meet Epona.
We'll do a harder one. We'll do a harder one next time.
I mean, by all means, man, that nearly brought a tear to my eye. I think we're going to sign off. Before we go, I do want to give a quick shout out to my bro who you saw in episode 3. He designed the logo and now there are hats. Dave, you're going to get one. I'm going to hit you up for your address. All our guests will be getting one. So if you want to be a guest on the podcast and want a cool hat, hit us up. We'll make it happen. Otherwise, we're also giving the hats away as prizes. Keep an eye out for our socials, yada, yada, blah. Dave, we really appreciate you coming on. You had some amazing stories for us.
See you next week, Dave.
Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Thanks for the time to share. This is super fun.
All right, gang. See ya. GG's. Hey everybody, it's Ray here. Just wanted to thank you for tuning into the Dire Pass Level podcast. If you want to hang out and join us for the next episode, make sure to like and subscribe. That way you're notified when our next episode releases. If you really, really, really liked it, you'd do us a solid if you left us a review. Reviews are a great way to spread the word about our podcast, and the more gamers to share these stories with, the better. All right, we'll see you next week. Have a good one. There we go.